I write the last sentence first because I have divined a method to write a novel. It's just that that's the first sentence that comes to me. It's the first sentence I get. I didn't plan it that way. The first couple of times it happened, it seemed odd. But in 12 novels now, that last sentence, which comes first, has never changed, not even the punctuation. First sentences, I revise them a lot. And the journey from writing that last sentence, which comes first, backwards through the story to where the novel should begin, that trip is sometimes a year in length, at times even 18 months. It's taken me that long. But when I get to the first sentence, I then know the whole story. And I think what benefit that is to me is that by the time I begin to actually write the book, as opposed to making this roadmap of the story in reverse from end to beginning, by the time I actually start writing, which is not until I find the first sentence, I know everything in the story. It's already happened to me. And so I am writing for an audience a story that I already know. It's as if I've already read it. And I feel for that reason that I can concentrate solely on the sentences themselves. I already know who the characters are, when they're going to meet one another, when their paths will cross, if they cross again. And so I'm not thinking about the story anymore. I'm through making it up. It's already made up. But what's changed, what's different now for me, is that I felt as a younger writer that it was important to make up everything. It was important to imagine a story that was as wholly outside of my personal experience as I could imagine. I firmly hated autobiography in fiction. I avoided it. But to a large extent now, one's childhood, one's adolescence, it tyrannizes you less as you get older. You're not as close to it. It doesn't affect you in the same disagreeable way. You can actually use things from personal experience that no longer seem daunting to you, and therefore you can feel free to take liberties with what actually happened to you, and once again invent. I didn't feel comfortable about doing that when I was still in my 20s, still in my 30s. I feel more comfortable about that now, so that I don't have the same strong feelings I used to about what shouldn't be in my fiction. I was very opinionated about that in my 20s and 30s, and to a large extent this might have been because of how much I hated the worship of Ernest Hemingway. I despise it. I found him a tedious and boring writer, and not the zenith of American literature, or nothing I wanted to resemble. And so I was modeling myself as consciously as I was able on those earlier New England writers, Melville and Hawthorne, and those British writers of the 19th century, principally Dickens and Hardy. Once again, because they were far, far removed from my experience or anything that could be called generally American. I didn't think of Melville and Hawthorne as American writers. I thought of them as New England writers. And I think of myself as a New England writer, not as an American writer. Can't tell you why.